Greetings, my fellow degenerates. My name is Rot, and welcome back to the channel. Though, if you're new here, then hi, hello, howdy-o. This is actually probably a very good video to start out with, I would think. So, quite a while ago, like several months, I made an About Me video that was sort of the introduction to my channel at the time, but since then many things have changed for me and about me, and that video is no longer remotely representative of who I am at the moment, for the most part anyways. I also made a video about my boundaries a while back, and I've spoken even in other videos about certain personal no-nos, and many of those preferences have either changed or they've been misconstrued by a hefty group of people. Thus, I think it's really important to straighten things out, clarify things, as well as update information and put everything you need to know about me in one easily accessible place. I will also provide timestamps to different topics so that you can skip around and see certain parts if you need clarification on just one specific subject or something. Before we get into that though, I want to remind everyone that I have a Ko-Fi page, one that's linked in the card in the description, and one I'd appreciate that people donate to if they're able to do so and want to do so. Though if you can just watch to the end of this video, that would also be a big help, supports me, and is just as appreciated by me. That out of the way, let's start with an important introduction to me as a person if you're unfamiliar. Hi, my name is Rot. I am 19 years old at the moment, and I mostly make art-related content, story times, and rambly type content about my opinions and my own life. I'm generally a very open and honest person, and I like sharing pieces of myself with the world and other people around me, and having a safe and positive place to do that is really important to me. I'm a trans man and go by he/him pronouns, and I'm also a bisexual, aromantic, polyamorous dude. As a mentally ill and disabled LGBT person, I intend my channel and platform to be a positive space where LGBT people and those with, say, mental illnesses or other sort of disabilities can feel safe and kind of have a positive community. I'm also a very sex and kink positive person, and I don't tolerate things like kink shaming or pearl-clutching puritanism from anyone. So like, if you're a prude and can't stand casual sex talk or themes that are sexual in art, then you might want to steer yourself far away from me, baby grill. On to more specifics about my content. As you can probably tell, I'm very passionate about art, and I use my art as a vessel to sort of tell stories and talk about my thoughts and feelings. Though I like art and have and probably will make art-related content in the future, the main focus of my channel is more so story times and my opinions rather than art itself. I am not a tutorial channel, nor an art tips channel. I'm not a teacher and I don't like making tutorials or tip videos, so I will not make them. If you're looking for art lessons or tips and hacks, then my channel is not the place for you to look for them. Find a professional who knows what they're talking about. What you'll find here instead is art-related, opinionated content, story times, me talking about my OCs and creative works, and also talking about myself and my experiences. Mental health is a very heavy focus of my channel, of my art, and of my life in general, so keep that in mind if you choose to follow my content and me as a creator. What is in my content now brings me to the very important topic of the age gate trademark. One thing that a lot of people have misconstrued about me in the past was when I spoke about how I would like kids to avoid my content. In my rebrand video back in May, which you should watch if you haven't seen it yet, I explained that I would prefer my audience to be 15 or older. This is because a lot of my art and my videos have to do with things like sexual topics, violence, unhealthy relationships, mental illness, gore, and other similar things that could possibly trigger the average viewer. Now, the thing about this that is pertinent to mention in this conversation is that I never actually stated people need to be 15 or older to view my content. I never actually put an actual age gate on my videos or on my work. The 15 or older recommendation was just that, a recommendation, not a strict policy. I recommended 15 or older specifically because older teens and adults are more likely going to be able to handle the topics that I discuss in my videos and in my art. But say you're 13 and the topics in my videos and artwork don't bother you. If that were the case, I would have no issues with you interacting with my work. You see, the last thing I want is for people that can't handle my work to view it. I've gotten comments before from people who say that my aesthetic makes them uncomfortable or grosses them out and triggers them, and my response to that is that they should kindly fuck off. Okay, all jokes aside, I mean this in the nicest way possible, but if you can't handle my work, then you shouldn't interact with it. Block me, avoid me, whatever you need to do to avoid seeing things that might damage your well-being or comfort is something that you should do. So if you're a kid or a young teen and my work bothers you, don't interact. But if it doesn't bother you and you like it, I don't mind you being in my community, even if you're not 15 or older. The only thing that is 100% off limits for you if you're young is my 18+ work, which is all marked and censored accordingly to protect minors from viewing it anyway. In conclusion, my channel is not for kids under 15, but that doesn't mean it's unsuitable for kids under 15. I simply do not make content or art for kids or with children in mind, but that doesn't mean that they can't view it. Since I provide people with the proper content warnings when necessary, whether or not a younger teen or a kid can tolerate my work is really a subjective thing that they should decide for themselves. With that out of the way, let's talk about commissions and art trades briefly. When my comms are open, which they will be open again in a couple of weeks, I will make an announcement about it so people are aware. I usually open 5 slots at a time, and information about my comms and payment methods can be found on the commission terms page on my card if you're interested. If you have any further questions after reading that page, then I have a whole video about my commission process so that you can just know what it's like to work with me as an artist. As for art trades, I don't get this question too much anymore, but just to clarify, my art trades are not open, nor will they ever be open again. I don't like doing them, they're just kind of like comms, except more annoying and without the kind of return that I want, so that's why. Don't ask. Next up, let's discuss the topic of fan art. People constantly ask me if they can draw fan art, and the answer is yes, you can draw me fan art of any of my characters. I prefer to get art of my OCs from my Phangoria or Phangoria universe over getting fan art of my persona usually. I also have no issues with you drawing me NSFW fan art of my characters or my persona on the grounds that you are 18 or older and the character you're drawing is 18 or older. I don't want any R34 of kids or from kids. That's nasty. I also want to mention that I love to see the fan art that people make me, so if you want to post it publicly, please tag me so that I can reblog it or post a comment or like it. I would love to see the stuff that you make of any of my creative works. You can also submit images to my character Toyhouse pages, and I'll see them that way as well. On the topic of Phangoria, if you're unaware, Phangoria is a universe of OCs I created. It's a horror-oriented universe with elements of absurdist dark comedy as well. Recently, I created a Toyhouse world that people can join to submit their own fan characters and AUs on. So if you would like to join in and make your own fan character or AU, then feel free to do so. Just make sure you read all the content warnings on the front page of the world and read all of the permissions on the FAQ page. I will link the world in the description for those of you who are interested in joining. Now, finally, let's touch on a very important subject about my boundaries: standing and idolization. On Tumblr, I recently ended up in a couple back and forths with different people regarding how I feel about fans looking up to and admiring me, and I feel like people are getting the wrong idea about how I feel. Thus, I think it's important to clarify things for everyone here to see. I've stated before that I don't like it when people call me their idol or their biggest inspiration, or treat me like I'm some crazy cool person high up on a pedestal. You see, one thing I find to be very important about having a platform is being normal about it. I don't like to be treated or seen as better than anyone else just because I have a few thousand subscribers, you know. Treating me as this great being or your senpai makes me incredibly uncomfortable and also very stressed. I'm just a teenager, I'm not even 20 yet. I haven't gotten the chance to move away from home yet. I've barely seen the world yet. I'm imperfect and inexperienced, and I don't have everything figured out yet. I'm just like the average viewer who is self-taught, who is inexperienced at many things, and who is just a normal person trying to find out what they want to do with their life. This doesn't mean that I feel worthless or am down on myself, it's just the truth. I'm not this all-knowing person who can do no wrong, and being someone's one and only perfect idol who they stan is a slippery slope to being on their shit list and getting hated if I make some arbitrary misstep that shatters their perception of me as this perfect being. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with many people who treat me like that, but I feel like it's important to kind of state this and nip this issue in the bud before it becomes an actual problem for me. I'm bound to make mistakes and bound to be imperfect sometimes. I'm going to have a bad take at some point, it's just the result of being human. So I don't want people to treat me like I'm an inhuman perfect god who can do no wrong as a result. Now, I also want to clarify right now that I have no issue with you being a fan or being inspired by me. Hell, if my experiences in my life and my suggestions in the past have helped you, then that's great, and I'm glad that I can be of help. I admittedly make a lot of my videos to encourage people to not make the same mistakes as I did, or I make videos to help some people feel less alone in whatever they're struggling with. I love those of you who call yourself a fan, or who call me your favorite YouTuber, or who compliment my art, or who look up to me as a role model in some ways. All that is great, just don't lose sight of the fact that I can and will and have made mistakes, and that I'm not perfect or automatically amazing and knowledgeable about everything just because I can make some good art and some YouTube videos, you know. On the topic of parasocial relationships, I also want to discuss something else. Please don't have one with me! I do not say this to be mean, but creators are not your friends, and I'm certainly not your friend at all. You may think you know a lot about me just because you watch my videos, but all you know is the side that I choose to share with the public. I don't mind people finding comfort in my videos or finding some solace and connection to me through them, but please keep in mind that this connection is one-sided and not real. I have always been a big disenjoyer of people just sliding into my DMs and acting like we're besties just because they've seen a few videos of my art or something. This is especially the case if you're a minor. I'm a grown-ass man, bro. I don't like talking to kids in private settings. It's weird and creepy as fuck. Especially if you're a fan of mine, because we have what you might call an uneven power dynamic. I have power over you not just because I am an adult, but because you are a fan of me and are already emotionally invested in me or my content, for some reason. So yeah, find comfort in my content and feel some connection to me that makes you feel less alone. That's great and fine. But act like I'm your bestie and like you know everything about me and that you're my friend just because you've heard about some of my opinions and experiences in videos. Please do not, I beg of you. With all of that being said, that's pretty much all I needed to get off my chest. If you have any questions about things that I covered or didn't cover, feel free to ask me in the comments. I will happily answer them. I'm glad to be able to sort of make a video where this just can be like an introduction to newer viewers or refresh and expand on things for older viewers if they're interested. Thank you all for watching and making it to the end of this video. Feel free to rate and subscribe if you feel inclined to do so. If you're at all interested in seeing some of my art or writing outside of my videos, then the link to all of my socials are down in the card that's linked in the description. Hope you all have a nice rest of your day, and I will now bid you all adieu.